And we are live. Hi, everybody. This is Georgia Peach Polar Seltzer. This is good stuff. Happy Friday, everyone. I did some replugging and unplugging with my mic, so I'm hoping the mic sound is pretty good. I plugged it into my computer as opposed to my dock, so give me an update if it says crackly. Happy Friday. I've made a bunch of content this week. We talked about Kamala Harris and her not running for governor, but running maybe for president. We talked about the jobs report, which is bad for Donald Trump and Republicans. We've talked about all sorts of things. So welcome. This is the live stream I do every Friday for anyone who is a subscriber to my channel, which is now almost 112,000 people, which is amazing. First of all, welcome. Second of all, thank you. If you're a subscriber, you can see right back here. That's my 100,000 button. Got that in prominent display. A bunch of people have been asking me about the Diamond Club, which is the membership tier that I set up for YouTube. It does cost money. It's $6.99 a month. What you get, first thing you get is access to my full podcast with Chuck Todd every Monday. I post the video every Monday. It's a video podcast. So we talk for about an hour. So you get that. And then you also get a bunch of other videos that I'm posting that I do in other places that I'll post a full video there. Interviews. I did an interview with this great Republican pollster named Kristen Soltis Anderson yesterday. I'm going to post the video there probably today or tomorrow. So you get a bunch of that, and you get a second live stream every week. So we did the first one this Wednesday. There weren't that many people in it, but it was kind of cool because you get more direct access to me, right? Like if you have a question, there's not that many people in there. You can ask me as many questions as you want. So if you want to join the Diamond Club, it should just say join when you go to youtube.com/Chris Cillizza. If you hit that join button, you can join. I would love if somebody could put a link to how to join it, because I don't totally know. I don't have one like readily available, but that's called the Diamond Club. All it is, it's a membership group where you get a little bit more access to me and a little bit more content for a little bit of money. I hope that makes sense. So this chat, I do it every Friday. It will continue to be free for all subscribers. I go about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on like how many questions we've got. So that's my plan. Ask questions. I'll do my best to answer them. I always say, if you want to support me, become a member of the Diamond Club. But if you want to support me in another way, you can ask a question in here. There's a little rectangle at the bottom with a $sign on it. That's called the super chat. You can ask it there. Make a donation. It'll bump up to the top. I'll make sure that question gets asked. But if you can't donate, I get it. It's fine. We're going to do my best to answer everybody's questions. All right, here we go. And remember, ask questions, people. And before I say anything else, just give it a thumbs up over there on the just like this video. That's always helpful to me. All right, here we go. Maxwell Finer. How often and in what ways do you use AI for your work? That's a really good question. So the short answer is not as much as I probably should. I'll give you the two ways, Maxwell, that I use it mostly right now. When I make videos on YouTube or for YouTube, I also want to cut them down so that I can share them across like Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. And I use a service called Opus AI that basically I paste the YouTube link in and it cuts it into like 30, some shareable 30 seconds with captions and stuff. I actually think I might go to Riverside to do that going forward and do all my recording on Riverside. Right now, I just do it in QuickTime and then use Opus AI. But I do use Opus AI. Prior to that, I used Captions.ai, which did the same thing, but I found it to be like a little wonky and slow. The other way that I use AI, ChatGPT, mostly, is but sometimes Claude and sometimes Gemini. I basically, when I make a video, you need for YouTube, you need to have a like really keyword rich summary description of that video, because the YouTube algorithm crawls that. So I basically take the transcript that YouTube provides and I type as a prompt into one of these AIs, write me a short summary of this video by Cillizza, paste the transcript, and then it pops out like a paragraph. So those are the only two ways I use it. If you guys have suggestions, I do not use it at all for writing. And I don't really use it for scripts or anything like that. Those are really the only two ways. I think I'm never going to use it for writing, and I'm never going to use it for that kind of stuff. But if there are ways that you guys use AI that you think is really smart that might help me, I'm more than open to using it in ways that make sense, like for my job. So throw it in the comment section or shoot me an email, cillizzac@gmail.com. Okay. Sam, hey, Chris, how does it feel to be the winner of this week's Sit Your Ass Down Award? Will you be getting a plaque like with YouTube? So for people who don't know, what Sam is referring to is Jamie Harrison, who's the former Democratic National Committee chair, retweeted a video I had made, actually, and a piece I had written for my Substack newsletter, where I said that Kamala Harris, I thought, had made a mistake in not running for governor and instead seemingly leaning toward running for president in 2028. He awarded me with the Sit Your Ass Down Award, which I don't think is an actual award. But to me, it's like, dude, Jamie Harrison, like, I get it. You're partisan. I guess you want Kamala Harris to run again, but I'm not. Like, I'm just looking at it from the perspective of, like, the governor's race was probably winnable. I don't think it would have been easy, but probably winnable for her. And I don't know that a presidential primary is winnable for her. So, like, in my opinion, if I'm her, I'm trying to choose a race that I can win. I don't think she chose right. KS, hi, Chris, 2 questions. Number 1, do you think Nikki Haley still has a political future? Number 2, what is the most significant damage Donald Trump has done so far, in your opinion? Nikki Haley is still relatively young. I don't think she's a serious candidate in 2028. But maybe if the party changes by 2032 or 2036, I think she's in her 50s, so she has at least another decade. So, in 2036, maybe things look differently, but not in 2028. What's the most significant damage Trump has done? I mean, I don't know if it's the most significant, but the thing that I think is the least covered is what's going on with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at Health and Human Services. I mean, I just think he is blowing out all of the sort of established people there. Some of them I'm sure probably should go, but I'm not sure most of them should go, and putting in place people who are, I would say, consistent with the Make America Healthy Again movement, but maybe not consistent with like accepted science and practices in medicine. So I don't know if that's the most damaging thing, but I do think that will have an impact on our overall health. Now, that said, by the way, and I've said this before, I don't think what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing is all bad. I mean, like, I do think it is ridiculous that there are things that are allowed to be put in our food, additives and dyes and stuff to put in the food in the US that are banned from putting in food in Europe. That seems to me like we should ban those too. So I'm not saying everything he's doing is bad, but I do think like what he's doing is radical in terms of his transformation. And I feel like it's not getting covered that much. Patrick Murray. Hey, Chris, did you see Kamala Harris's interview last night on Colbert? What did you make of it? Also, when are you hanging up the DC painting in the background? Patrick, that is, it's so heavy that like it's going to be hard to hang. And this may stun you, but I'm not exactly like super handy. So it may stay like this for a while. I did not see the Harris interview on Colbert. Was she good? She's usually not great in interviews, but tell me if she was good. Sherry Zimmerman, Chris, I'm a retired high school history teacher. Well, thank you for teaching. What are your thoughts on Professor and now activist Heather Cox Richardson? Her letters from an American are a wealth of daily history from her viewpoint. Yes. I mean, look, there's a reason that Letters from an American, which is Heather Cox Richardson's Substack, has a zillion subscribers. I think it's a good reminder of history. It is a little to the left if you're, just ideologically, but yeah, I mean, I think she does a really good job about educating people about what's happened in the past. Daniel Good. Daniel, I believe this little green thing by you means that you are a member of the Diamond Club. I'm not totally sure, but if so, thank you for supporting me. And folks, as I said at the top, I hope more people become members of the Diamond Club. We're like at 35 or 40 and counting, which is amazing. Daniel says, hey, Chris, with the current jobs numbers just released and revised, do you think 2026 Republican candidates will try distancing themselves from the Trump tariffs and economy, and can they? So normally, in a normal political world, Daniel, yes, they would. In this political world, I don't know. Look, if I'm a Republican candidate and I see that the U.S. economy created 14,000 jobs in June, 19,000 jobs in May, and 73,000 jobs in July for a grand total of 106,000 jobs over the last 3 months, I'm like, and when you combine it with the fact that the tariffs haven't really been in place, with a few exceptions, China being one, over those 3 months I just named, yes, I'd be very worried. Normally, you would already see people separating from Trump. He's not particularly popular. He's in the 40s. And look, these economic numbers are really bad, but it's Trump. He's still extremely popular among Republicans, 89, 90% approval among Republicans. So maybe not. Up is down a little bit when it comes to Trump. Like, the political rules of gravity do not really apply to him, which is remarkable. But I am interested, as summer turns to fall, Daniel, if you do see some people being like, well, I do things a little bit differently than Donald Trump on the economy on the Republican side, and speaking out more on tariffs. Dr. Always First. What is the next step for RFK Jr.? It's nearly impossible to be elected as an independent. Do you see him joining the GOP and running for office, president or other, private sector or cabinet 2.0? I actually think, so it depends how things shake out in 2028. But I could see him running for president as a Republican in 2028 or 2032. I think he certainly has the ego for it. He does have a movement. Like, it's not as big as the Make America Great Again movement, right? But Make America Healthy Again is his own little thing. It's like influencers and, moms. Like, there is a group. There's like fitness folks. There is vitamin folks. There is a group. Is it big enough? I don't think it's big enough to beat J.D. Vance or Don Jr., but, if for whatever reason they don't run, which I'd be surprised by, but yeah, I could see it. Pocket Watch. In Pocket, I know you are a member of the Diamond Club, and thank you. Pocket Watch says, what are some of your preferred sources of info, left, right, centerish, and what about more raw data, or at least closer to being data only? I'll give you a few just off the top of my head. I really like Decision Desk HQ. They do nonpartisan polling aggregation, modeling. It's just a great site. I think it deserves way more shine than it gets. I think they do a really good job. A guy named Scott Tranter runs it. He's a really talented guy. Left, right, center sources. I mean, I always say this. I'm going to tell you what's on my bookmarks bar. I don't know if that's helpful. Not all of these are political. YouTube, National Review, Substack, The Dispatch, Taking Goddard's Political Wire, The Washington Post, The Financial Times, The New York Times, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, Politico, Semaphore, Flowing Data, Our World in Data, The New Yorker, Drudge, The Atlantic, ESPN, trying to think, Real Clear Politics. I've got a few down here that I don't use as much. So that's what I use mostly, to be honest. I hope that's a relatively good mix, but who knows? And Pocket, thank you for being a member of the Diamond Club. Mitchell Buck, hey, Chris, an off-the-board question. Is the beauty of ESPN's PTI just that two friends are giving their honest opinions about sports? Why has Network or Pod done this? Why has no Network or Pod done this with political opinions? Mitchell, so there are two keys to PTI success. The most important one is that Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon knew each other and were friends long before PTI, long before they had a show together. There's a rapport, there's a friendship, there's a banter that existed before they put it on TV, and it's real. It's not cooked up for TV. It's real. The second thing is the format. The line, the box along the side telling you what's coming next. It's very formatted. It's fun. That's Eric Rydholm and Matt Kelleher's genius. Those are the producers behind PTI. So what you need to make a PTI-like show work for politics is people with a long relationship who have a really good rapport first, who people trust, and that's harder with politics than sports, but that's the most important thing. That relationship between Mike and Tony is not as common. You can't just sort of put two people together, two talking heads together, and be like, go. It has to be people who've known each other, who kind of know how people work and all that stuff. So yeah, but it's a wonderful show. 93 Aditya Gupta. Hey, Chris, why has Bill Clinton become a controversial figure among Democrats? We lived in the U.S. in the 90s, and my dad always talks about how great the economy was. Was he too centrist socially? Lewinsky. I mean, I don't know if he's become a controversial figure. There's always been some controversy with Bill Clinton. I guess I would say a couple things. One, yeah, his personal foibles, I think, are not something that Democrats remember fondly. And then I think he is more of a centrist, right? I mean, welfare reform, prison reform, he's done a lot of things that I think the left, in retrospect, are very unhappy about. So I think it's probably that, but I wouldn't say he's controversial. I mean, look, again, Bill Clinton got elected in 1992 and 1996. That's a long time ago. The Democratic Party then, the country then, the Republican Party then, it was all very different. So it's kind of hard to judge him on like today's standards. Let's see. Phil Reinhart, can you explain your side comment a few weeks ago that JFK was an overrated president? You've never heard that opinion before? Really? Yeah, I think JFK is overrated. It doesn't mean he wasn't a good president. I just don't think he's like a lot of people when they say like name the best presidents, they put JFK in like the top 5, which I think is just not borne out. Abe Lincoln, fine. George Washington, fine. FDR, fine. But like John F. Kennedy, no. I mean, look, I think he inspired the country, but I would also, I mean, he narrowly avoided nuclear war and the Cuban Missile Crisis. I don't know if you think that's a good thing because he was able to avoid it or a bad thing that we almost got there. I just think people fell in love with the idea of Camelot, and I'm not sure. Number one, the idea of Camelot was something that they were selling. I mean, Kennedy was never particularly healthy or hale and certainly not a loyal husband. And I just think there's less there than meets the eye with Kennedy. I don't know if he's the most overrated or anything like that, but I also don't think he should get as much amazing shine in terms of people naming him as one of the best that he does. Sharquin Cognito. Hey, okay, thank you for your donation. I don't know. Hey, Chris, what do you get when you cross an owl with a bungee cord? Boy, I feel like I'm swimming in dangerous waters there. For those in the back, hey, Chris, when are you writing your next book? Off topic, but curious. It's not off topic at all. That's right on topic. So my last book came out in 2023. It's back here. Power Players, Sports, Politics, and the American Presidency. I loved writing it. I got to have an idea I believe in, to be honest. Like, I don't know that I want to write about politics, candidly, like in a book form. I'm wondering if, like I might write about my journey, like from getting laid off at CNN to where I am now, like a little bit of self-help, a little bit of memoir. I don't know. I'm also thinking in like, if I do a politics book, do I do like the 25 greatest races of all time? Like, I really don't want to write a book about like Donald Trump right now or the Democratic Party right now. There's so many books about that. I'm not sure I have all that much to add, but maybe something historical. Franz George Leopold Pagel, my favorite 4 named regular guest on these chats, won't make it in a live stream today, but can you talk about the relation of Trumpism, Project 2025, conservatism, republicanism? Well, FGLP, I may need a little bit more guidance there. I mean, look, for all the attention Project 2025 got, the truth is, like, most of it is just a bunch of conservative ideas that have been kicking around forever. Like, are some more radical? Sure. But like the idea that Donald Trump is following the Project 2025 blueprint, like any conservative Republican president would follow a lot of those ideas. So I think it's a little bit overblown. Now, if you're talking about Republicanism or conservatism in 2015 versus Republican and conservatism now, I mean, it's radically different. The party's unrecognizable. And I think that's a big deal. Martin Dim. Why do some people think Kamala is still a viable option as a Democratic nominee? Because they look, number one, they may like her, and like what she stands for, although I'm not entirely sure what she stands for. But the other thing is they look at polling and they see her in first place in these Democratic primary polls. Now, again, I've said this before. I'm going to keep saying it. All that means is that people know her name. It does not mean that she is the front runner to be the next nominee. It means people know her name, because it's 2025 and a lot of these other people weren't the vice president and weren't the 2024 Democratic Party nominee. So I think people look at that and they think like, well, she's winning, so why wouldn't we go with her? I think that's a mistake. But anyway, quickly, for people who are joining or were just joining, make sure you thumbs up this. We've got almost 200 people in here, but only 42 likes. Just hit that like button. I've talked about the Diamond Club, which is my membership group here on YouTube. You also, I won't make a big pitch for it, but I also write a Substack newsletter. A lot of people subscribe over there. it's all mostly written content, a little bit of video. Obviously, YouTube is all video. If you ever have questions about what you get or what you could get, email me, CILLIZZAC@gmail.com. And you can email me whenever. If you got suggestions, questions, books I should read, podcasts I should listen to, I'd love it. Jeremy McMillan, any thoughts on Ghislaine Maxwell being moved to a minimum security prison? I don't, but that is an interesting thing. I mean, I still think she is playing for a pardon. They are trying to put pressure, like positive pressure on Donald Trump to try to get a pardon for her, but I don't know if moving her to a different prison means anything. Old Grandma, does your YouTube and Substack say the same things? Which is more important? Great question. So they don't say the same things. They don't say totally different things either. I kind of think of it as like two concentric circles. Like there's some shared in the middle. There's a little bit over here and there's a little bit over there that's separate. What I would say is I get a lot of ideas that I do for both Substack and YouTube. Obviously, YouTube is going to be me talking. Substack is going to mostly be me writing. There's definitely more personal content. Like, for example, my 16-year-old just got his driver's license yesterday. And so I'm going to write about that over at Substack. So there's more personal stuff at Substack and definitely more written stuff. Over here, it's mostly political stuff, which I don't think it needs to only be political stuff, but it's mostly what I do at this point on YouTube. For me, I offer both because some people like one or the other. Some people like both. I offer membership tiers on both because some people want more access to me kind of via Substack and access to all the content that I make over there, all of the content. Some people want more access, more live streams, more video content over YouTube. I'd love it if you subscribe to both, but most people are either more a YouTube person or more a written word Substack person. So I try to do both. Brian Trotter, Chris, you say Kamala's book will give Democrats a headache. I see her book as a total nothing burger. You really think she'll address any of the juicy questions? No. So Brian, I don't think she'll address any of the juicy questions because I do think she wants to preserve her running in 2028. And I think doing a tell-all probably wouldn't do that. I just mean that the keeping her and the 2024 election in the front of people's mind, which this book, which is a reflection on the 2024 campaign that comes out September 23rd, I think will do, is probably not a good thing for the Democratic Party. I think they really need to put 2024. I think you got to learn from it, what went wrong. But I think like just keeping it in front of people and, hey, there's Kamala Harris again. And I think it's probably not good. I think Democrats need to start looking at, okay, what other faces are out there in our party? What other ideas are out there in our party? And I just think that her releasing this book slows that down. I don't think it's going to be like I don't think it's going to be a tell-all, although my gosh, I would love it if it were a tell-all because that would be a fascinating read. For those in the back says, it's so cool that you got the YouTube plaque. Yeah, there it is. I know, it's pretty awesome, right? If you have not seen my unboxing video, you need to. J Jordan 00. It seems that most of the states that have enacted limits on gerrymandering districts are mostly blue. Yes, they are. Will Texas trying to game the system lead to undoing some of these reforms? Well, really good question. Look, in California, for example, they have a redistricting commission. It's not partisan. It's a commission that draws the lines. Gavin Newsom, the governor, is saying, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to have the state legislature, which is Democratic controlled, draw these lines. Then we're new lines that are more beneficial to Democrats. Then we're going to put it to the voters and they can up or down it. So they're looking for legal ways around it. I mean, let's see if it works. But yes, there's no question. Like, New York and New Jersey, for example, where they're talking about redistricting, mid-decade redistricting. In both of those states, the state constitution bars them from doing it. Now, can they get around it? Maybe, but like the Texas constitution doesn't bar people from redistricting. Richard Cohn, thank you for the donation. Always very much appreciated. Hold on, I keep skipping things. Thomas Davenport, who is a member of the Diamond Club, says, my favorite part of Fridays, I hope you mean this, chat. David Johnson, I just wanted to put my Diamond Club symbol in. Well done, David. Yes, good job by you. Dslav2488, stop spamming the chat. I know you like AOC 2028. That is totally fine, but you don't need to put in there 10 times. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Chris Ensel says balls and strikes. Yes, I have not mentioned it yet, but I'm going to now. My thing is independent and authentic. Calling balls and strikes no matter what uniform the batter at the plate is wearing, or if you like it better, calling the political landscape how I see it without fear or favor. There we go. I got that done. Aaron L says 250,000 subs by Christmas. Let's go. I mean, it'd be amazing, right? Humbucker Soup. Is the Jeffrey Epstein issue the one that finally causes Trump to lose a problematic number of MAGA supporters? No, I don't think so. Here's the thing. Are there some level of MAGA folks and MAGA influencers, especially like online influencers, who are really unhappy about Trump? Yes. And like how he's handled this. Absolutely. Are there enough? No, I don't think so. I mean, look, his support is still 89, 90, 91, 92%. Like, people waiting for like the thing that dooms Donald Trump and like has people leave his support side. I just don't see it coming. Like, I truly don't. Dr. Banana, Mike is better, but there have been still a few crackles so far. All right, I'm doing my best. I don't know. John C., I know you think Trump has authoritarian tendencies, but don't think he's an authoritarian. Thoughts on the ballroom, thoughts on gerrymandering. Seems like slowly walking to a dark place. I mean, the ballroom, yeah, like he's spending $200,000 in a ballroom. I don't think that that's authoritarianism. It's wasting taxpayer money, in my opinion, but I don't think it's authoritarianism. The gerrymandering thing, he's just super political. Yes, absolutely. But, you know, yeah. I don't think that those are examples of authoritarianism. I could be wrong. Phil Reinhardt, I'm surprised that Substack and YouTube allow you to share their posts to other platforms. Thoughts? Well, look, it's my content, so it's like I can share it wherever I like. Substack makes it easier to share video content on YouTube. I can post on Substack and it posts up on YouTube. So it's a little easier, but yeah. Dan W., I think the only thing that will chip away at Trump's base is a recession. Most will follow him, but I think this is the only thing that could get him the lame duck status. Do you agree? Yeah, Dan, I think that's probably smart. I don't know if anything will really chip away at his base, but yes, if people see their economic futures, their economic outlook getting worse, that is probably the thing that would lead to some more breaks with Trump. I don't know how significant they would be, but no, none of these stories, like the Epstein story, the $200,000 ballroom story, none of those things are going to change anything. I just don't think the average person pays that much attention to that stuff. The economy, how you're doing, the job market, inflation, all those things impact you on a daily basis and a weekly or monthly basis. I think it matters more. Sean Rice. Sean, thank you for the donation. Sean says, why do you feel AOC has a better chance than Gavin Newsom to represent the Democratic Party? Newsom is the betting favorite. I think it's close. I think, if I had $1 to bet, I think I'd put 50 cents on right now, 50 cents on AOC, 25 cents on Newsom, and 25 cents on the rest of the field. The only reason I think I put her first and Newsom second is because I think that she's still got kind of an outsider veneer to her, which I think people want. I know she's been in Congress for a while now, but she's still kind of seen as an outsider to the political process in a way that Newsom isn't. She's a woman. She's a Hispanic. She's young, much younger. She's like 20 years younger than Newsom. I think all of those things are good in that they drive a contrast with what Democrats put forward last time, which was mostly Joe Biden, an old white guy. I think she's better positioned than Newsom on the left. Newsom is trying to kind of like be lefty, but also kind of in the center. I don't know if that'll work in a Democratic primary. So I could see Newsom doing it. He's much more road tested. And he's had a really good, I have on my Post-it note, one of my Post-it note ideas things is to write a thing about how good a 6 months Gavin Newsom has had. But I guess I just give her a slight edge for those reasons. Anthony Cabrera. Anthony, thank you so much for the donation. Came in late, so sorry if this is a repeat, but did you watch Colbert's Kamala interview last night? Thoughts? I didn't watch it. Obviously, I should have. Somebody asked it earlier, Anthony, and I'm sorry to not give you your money's worth with this. What did you guys think of it? Was it like amazing or something? I always think she's okay in those formats and not great. Slow Jake, Chris, where do you think your viewers, listeners fall on the political spectrum? Center left would be my guess. I try to be center, but I am critical of Donald Trump when I think it merits it. I'm critical of Democrats and Joe Biden when I think it merits it, but probably center left because I think a lot of people knew me from CNN and a lot of people think CNN is to the left. I try to always be who I am. but probably center left. I really hope people on the right come too, though, because I want to hear what they have to say. And I'm not ever trying to, I'm not ever telling people what they want to hear so that they'll subscribe to me. Right. That's not my thing. Lots of people on YouTube and Substack do that. Like, Trump is the worst or Trump is the best. Please subscribe and pay me a bunch of money. That's not me. You're never going to agree with me all the time. So I hope that people realize that's genuine and authentic. Stang Bartoffer, how much of my hair will I need to pull out before people start looking at labor force participation rate instead of unemployment for labor market health assessments? A lot of your hair. J. Jordan 00. So if Kamala's not running for governor, if she decides not to run for president for whatever reason, does she still have a future in national politics? Probably not. To me, if she says no in 2028, she'll then be out. Even if she ran for governor of California in 2030, let's say, probably be out for 6, 7, 8 years. That's probably too long. Like, I think her 2028 decision now is, does she want to stay in politics or does she want to stay out of politics? Probably for the rest of her life, which is a huge decision, which is probably why she didn't want to make it now. She wanted to buy herself some time. Paul Sal, hey, Chris, did you see Superman? What are your thoughts? I have not seen them. I have not seen it yet, Paul. Maybe I should. I know I knew there was a controversy about immigration, that it's like speaks to the power of immigrants in our country or something, but yeah, I don't know. Rich G, hey Chris, love the show. As always, curious if you have a memory of Hulk Hogan. Yes, I have a million memories of Hulk Hogan. I think I said this last week because Hogan died a week ago. I said this last week, but I'll say it again. I think he authored the two most memorable moments, not the best moments, but the most memorable moments in the history of professional wrestling. The first, WrestleMania 3 at the Silverdome, when he slams, I mean, Andre helped him, but when he slams Andre the Giant. And the second, when he is revealed in AEW as the third man, along with Razor Ramon and Kevin Nash. Sorry, not Razor Ramon. I mean, Razor Ramon is a character. His real name is why can't I think of it? Scott Hall. When Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and he comes out as the third man, which means he turns heel, he turns bad guy. To me, those are probably the biggest one. Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire. Hey, Chris, I'm looking to volunteer for a New York Democrat during the midterms. Is there any candidate that catches your eye? Is there any race that might be particularly close? Well, New York City, probably not. Mike Lawler is a Republican in a district that Kamala Harris carried. So if you're a Democrat looking to turn a district, that's probably a good one to look to, honestly. That's not New York City proper, but it's not that far away. So maybe there. Patrick Murray says, Kamala's interview on Colbert was pretty good overall. Talked about how she overcame her loss in 2024 and a lot about her book. Definitely interested in her memoir. Yeah, I mean, look, she's trying to sell that memoir, right? We'll see. Fan of animation cartoon says, I thought JFK was usually ranked in the teens. Yeah, I think that's where he should be. Like teens to 20-ish in terms of best presidents ever. I'm saying a lot of people who aren't historians, don't follow this stuff super closely, a lot of them will be like JFK, top 5 president. And no, it's just the record doesn't bear it out. Dragonfire says if JFK had survived the assassination, he would have been blamed for the Vietnam War. Fair, interesting point. Let's see. Adrian Sneed, NPR had a story about private equity buying into youth sports. Are you aware of this? What do you think? I'm not, Adrian, but let me look into it. Interesting. Let's see. Richard Cohn, why do some of your podcasts have "so what" on top of it? I don't know what that means, Richard, but ask me again. Let's see. Brad Davey, can you share what it was like right after you were laid off at CNN? Were you blindsided and did you get depressed at all? Yeah. Now, I've written and talked a lot about this, Brad. So if you want to go find it, you can on my Substack, especially. Yes, I was totally blindsided. I thought I was irreplaceable, probably like every person who gets laid off. And I was really depressed. It sucked. I mean, I'm not trying to make light of it. It sucked. I was lost. I realized how much of my self-definition had come from work. And when work said, hey, we don't want you to work here anymore, it was like, okay, well, am I good at anything worthwhile? It sucked. It was really, really hard. I'm really proud that I got through it and that I built this other stuff, but it was not easy. I think too many people act like, hey, I got laid off. Can't wait for the next big opportunity or whatever. And that's a great attitude if that's your attitude. I struggled with that. I really struggled with like what it meant about me, who I was, what else I could do in the world. Looking back now, I'm like, oh, that actually probably happened at the right time. Got me good perspective, allowed me to launch this independent career. But like then, it was really, really hard. Really hard. Anthony Cabrera. Anthony, thank you for your donation. Anthony says of Harris, she gave some good responses, but you could tell she still doesn't have a good answer about Biden's health. This is the problem, right? So I don't think she's going to do a tell-all. I think she's going to say, and Joe Biden, every time I saw him, he was in great shape, blah, blah, blah. But like, how can that be? If you were the vice president and you're with him all the time, we know he was clearly, even if you couldn't see it, right, in the debate and otherwise, if you have read, where is it? I've got it somewhere over here. Ah, here it is. If you have read this, which if you haven't, you need to, it's pretty well documented that lots and lots of people close to him knew there was a fade going on. And like, how could Harris have not seen that? Okay, next question from Anthony Cabrera. Who do you think has been the best or worst White House press secretary? Well, the job has changed a lot. So like in the 90s, the job was like to be a liaison between the press and the president, like one foot in each camp. Mike McCurry is a good example of that. Now the job is you're just a partisan mouthpiece for the White House. Who do I think did it well? I thought Jen Psaki did a good job trying to, it's a hard job. I thought she did pretty well. Look, I know people will hate this because many people in this chat hate Trump, but I think Carolyn Leavitt has done a surprisingly good job. Look, she's really young to have that job. It's a really hard job. Usually that's a job that it's like mid 30s, late 30s, 40s, like someone who's been in this industry and in the communications business for a really long time. She's in her 20s. And, again, her job is to go out and trumpet what Trump wants her to trumpet. But that was Sean Spicer's job too, and he didn't do it nearly as well. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, we could debate, but I have been surprised at how effective she has been, and she hasn't really gotten rattled, and there's not a lot of stories about, is she good, is she bad? So yeah. Seventh, as an Alaskan, what do you know about Alaskan politics? Here's what I know. That Senate race could be interesting. So Dan Sullivan is the incumbent senator. Mary Peltola, who is a moderate who lost her House seat. She was Alaska's at-large representative. She lost her House seat in 2024. I think she's interesting. And if she runs, I think it could be an interesting race, actually. I still think it's Alaska. The Republicans going to be favored, but I put that on your, put a pin in that Senate race if Peltola runs. I know she's thinking about running for governor or Senate, or nothing. If she runs for Senate, though, I think there's a possibility there. James Lyon, I love seeing how North Carolina has become first and forefront. Do you think Roy Cooper's race will help down ballot Democrats in the state? Yeah, I think whether Roy Cooper wins or loses, he's going to run pretty strong in the state. This is a North Carolina Senate race for people who are wondering. So it's Roy Cooper, former two-term Democratic governor, against Mike Whatley, who is the former chairman of the Republican National Committee and chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party. It's going to be so expensive that maybe some of that money will drop down to. I don't know how many competitive races there are going to be in North Carolina. It's a pretty gerrymandered state. So I'm not totally sure, but yeah, I think he will perform as well as a Democrat can perform. Slow Jake says, welcome to teenage driving. Dude, I'm the woman who gave me the certificate thing. I went and picked it up this morning that says he can drive, was like, congratulations and good luck. And I said to her, I could probably use the luck more than the congratulations. Let's see. Sorry, I skipped a little bit. Oh gosh, now I'm lost. Sorry. Okay. Ben Pearson, do you think Kamala for 28 is in a similar position as Jeb was in 2016, i.e. the establishment pick that will go nowhere? I don't even think she has that, Ben. I don't know that she's the establishment pick. I think a lot of people look at her and are going to be like, you lost. Like, sure, some of that, maybe most of it was Biden's fault, but you're still the one who lost. And so I'm skeptical that she's the establishment pick. But I don't think she's going to win. Sixto Cabrera. Hi, Chris. I enjoy your videos very much. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic, but live in San Diego. Lovely there. What do I think of Marco Rubio? Well, he has transformed himself into a Trump guy, which obviously wasn't in 2016. He ran against Trump in the primary. He attacked Trump, and then he lost to Trump. I suspect that Rubio's conversion will be looked at somewhat skeptically by voters in 2028. I don't know if he is going to. I don't know if he's going to run for president. I think he wants to. I mean, I think he'll run at some point in his life. I don't know if 2028 is that time, but I think he may have trouble convincing the kind of like hardcore MAGA people that he's one of them. Let's see. Mr. Squiggle, do you have a Discord just for notifications of live streams on YouTube? YouTube notifications are rubbish. Mr. Squiggle, I do not know enough about that. So can you email me and tell me what I should do? I'm happy to set one up. I just don't know enough about it. I'm not tech savvy. So email me, CILLIZZAC@gmail.com. I'll remind people, get 217 people in this chat, only 86 thumbs up. Just hit a like. That helps me. Max E, is the closest comp to 2028 the 88 presidential election? Should Democrats look to lessons from 88 to find a winning path in 2028? Well, so in 88, so that's an interesting comparison. So if you're right, popular, well, I don't know. Remember, Reagan was popular, which made George H.W. Bush, his vice president, pretty popular. So it was a popular vice president running basically for an extension of the Reagan years. Now, Vance is probably going to run it for an extension of the Trump years, but Trump is not as popular now, and I don't think he will become as popular as Reagan was. So there's that. The other thing was, remember on the Democratic side, it was supposed to be Gary Hart, right? Gary Hart had run in 84. People were excited about him. He was, this moderate, but he could appeal to liberals. And then he got run out in a sex scandal, which seems quaint now, but that's what happened. And so Democrats were kind of flopping and flipping around, and they eventually settled on Michael Dukakis, way too liberal, long record in Massachusetts that the Bush people successfully picked apart. So, the Democratic field this time looks a little bit better to me, potential Democratic field, and Vance will not benefit from Trump's popularity as much as Bush benefited from Reagan. Now, Bush won 428 electoral votes or something. He won overwhelmingly. So I don't know, but that is an interesting comp. Mo Coffee. Will Colbert go into politics, and what would that look like? No, he will not go into politics. He's from South Carolina. There's no way in hell he's getting elected to anything in South Carolina. I think he goes to YouTube or Substack, or you know what I mean? Like he goes to these independent sites and he starts something that looks similar to what he does now, and it succeeds. Also, he made a ton of money. So Stephen Colbert could just retire if he wants to. I don't think he's going into that. Oh, Adrian Sneed says, according to the Washington Post, the $200,000 ballroom will be privately paid for. Okay, so I said taxpayer money. Okay, maybe it's not a waste of taxpayer money. Thank you, Adrian, for that clarification. David Johnson says, my favorite perk of being in the Diamond Club is your videos with Chuck Todd. Thank you. I love it. So every Monday, Chuck Todd, former Meet the Press and NBC guy, and I talk everything. We talk politics, we talk sports, we talk culture, we talk our kids. It's about an hour and 10 minutes usually long. I record it and then I post it to YouTube so you can watch the whole thing. I think that's worth the price of admission alone, David. But yes, you get other videos. You get a special 30-minute live stream with me every Wednesday if you are a member of the Diamond Club. So check it out. X Ross V1. The jobs report sounds pretty bad, but with consistent rollout of more AI and more industries, should we begin to expect smaller amounts of jobs out of the economy in future reports? It's a good question that I don't know the answer to. I don't think AI is the reason that we're where we are in the jobs situation now. I think it's more tariffs and the threat of tariffs. But you're right. I mean, I think AI will transform how we look at these job reports. Trevin, do we ever see the full Epstein files, and to what degree do you think Trump is in them? I don't think we ever see the full everything Epstein files. Trump is definitely in them, in that we know that he and Epstein were friends. I cannot and will not speculate about anything beyond that. But he is definitely in them. I mean, we knew that before Pam Bondi told him he was in them, but I don't think that makes him guilty. It just means he was friends with them, which of course he's denied, but we've always known is true. Blank says, any potential dark horses on your radar for 2028? I mean, does Mark Cuban count as a dark horse? Does Raphael Warnock from Georgia count as a dark horse? Maybe one of them. Wes Varner, hey, Chris, North Carolina here. How do you see the Cooper-Whatley matchup shaping up? I think Roy Cooper starts with a lead. He's better known, but it's probably like a 4, 5, 6 point lead. I think it's going to be really close. Cooper's a good candidate. If I had to bet today based on what I think the 2026 overall landscape will look like nationally, I think I'd bet Cooper narrowly. But man, I think it will be close. Zach, do you foresee a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell? Call me naive, but that feels like it would be a bridge too far for MAGA. If the White House tried to spin her as a victim, it's hard to see it sticking. I'm not sure there are bridges too far. And I don't know about a pardon. I mean, I wouldn't look. I didn't think Joe Biden was going to pardon Hunter Biden and preemptively pardon everyone in his family, and he did. I didn't think that Donald Trump would pardon a lot of people he's pardoned, and he did. So let me run through a couple other ones. Hans Kempel, how long was it after leaving CNN that you felt like you knew what you wanted to try and do and began taking active steps toward that goal? So I started a Substack in about late January 2023, so 2 months after I left CNN, and I had a YouTube channel, and I started posting on YouTube around that same time. Honestly, that was mostly to keep me sane, because I've been doing this kind of stuff for so long. It's how I interact with the world. It's how I fill my days. It's how I stay intellectually engaged. I didn't necessarily have a big plan of how to make it work. I thought I'll try and we'll see, or if not, I'm going to have to get a job that pays me enough to support my life. But it worked, which is awesome. Yeah, really great. Hold on. Got a couple more here. Paul Olson. Hey, my friend. Paul Olson says we can ask Williams, Jennings, Bryan, and Adlai Stevenson about losers getting renominated. Thank you. Very rarely happens. Occasionally happens in the Republican Party. Very rarely happens in the Democratic Party. It's why I'm just so skeptical of Harris 2028. Dividend Lion. I'd love to see Chris talk to Jon Stewart on The Daily Show. We should reach out to him. I mean, I'd love to be on The Daily Show, but I don't really know how to reach out to Jon Stewart. Maybe I should work harder on that. Michelle Alvarez, I thought Kamala was very good last night on Colbert, and I don't think she's running for anything else ever. That's maybe her best path, Michelle, honestly, because I don't think she's winning if she runs in 2028 for the nomination, and that would be a hard race, I think, for her. Lost Marble. Hi, Chris. Republican listening to your videos. You reach everyone. Awesome. That is my goal. Balls and strikes. Truly. Truly. That's what I'm trying to do. Ohio, Oscar Barillas. Do you think Ohio has a chance to be competitive if Sherrod Brown runs for governor or senator? Sure. Sherrod Brown's a good candidate. He's been elected a bunch of times. He lost in 2024, but I think a lot of that was Trump won the state, and it was hard to get out from under the pull of that. Sure. I don't know which one I think would be better for Sherrod Brown. Maybe slightly lean toward governor would give him a better chance of winning. But I don't know. But yes, he's definitely their best candidate for either of those offices, Democrats. Politics 101. Hey, Chris, what do you think the odds are that Mikey Sherrill wins the New Jersey governor's race? 60%? 58%? I actually think Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, the other governor's race in the ballot in 2025, has a slightly better chance than Sherrill. Virginia is probably less Democratic than New Jersey, but the Republican opponent in Virginia is not as good as the Republican opponent in New Jersey. I actually think Mikey Sherrill and Spanberger are both very good, and if they win, both of them will be in the VP mix. Definitely Spanberger. Blank says, got any memories of Ozzy? I don't. I mean, I was not a big heavy metal fan. I mean, I know he matters. Andra50N, do you think Jamie Raskin could or should run for president? He could, but I don't think he ever will. I think he's a house guy through and through. Maybe a Senate race if it comes open, but not president. Trevin, what are your 3 favorite bands? Great question. Wilco, The Hold Steady, Jason Isbell, and the 400 unit. Thelma Silvestro, this is more a comment than a question, but I think it's too early to talk about 2028. After all, no one saw Donald Trump coming in 2013. Good point. But things are happening in 2028. I think we can talk about it, but I think we have to acknowledge that it's so far away that making hard and fast predictions about it is premature. And I think that's a great point. Phil Reinhart, wasn't Laura Trump going to run in North Carolina? She took herself out, Phil. So she dropped out and said she wasn't running, and Michael Whatley got in. That's how that worked. Dr. Always First, who do you think JD would pick as a running mate? Does he double down on MAGA or try to expand the base? I could totally see him picking Don Jr. Lou 8, love the content. You ever get worried or wonder if the Trump administration comes across your YouTube channel, Substack content about him, and deem the content as defamation or retaliate with a lawsuit? I mean, I really try not to get into name calling. Again, a lot of people on YouTube do that about Donald Trump. And I'm not going to go through the names they call him, but they do all that stuff. I really don't do that. I mean, I try to stick to the facts. And I really, again, I don't hate Donald Trump. I don't love Donald Trump, but I don't hate him. Like, so I don't worry that much about it, because I'm just not, that's not my thing. My thing is not like, oh, he smells, or, oh, he's orange. I just think it's stupid. I don't buy it. Tom Birmingham says he's shocked that the Dave Matthews Band didn't make my top 3 bands cut. They make the worst 3 bands, Tom. Maxie, any possibility it would be better for Democrats to not take either chamber in Congress in 2026? Feels like they need to replace Jeffries and Schumer to start turning the Democratic Party around. Well, I could see that, in that you could blame everything that happens for the next 4 years on Republicans in 2028. But I think you still would rather have a chamber than not have a chamber, to be honest. Like, just, yeah. Anthony Cabrera. Anthony, thank you for all your donations. And let me just say this. I'm going to go in a minute, but let me say this. When you guys donate to me, whether you become a member of the Diamond Club, whether you donate via Super Chat, whether you do buymeacoffee.com, where you can do reoccurring donations, whether you become a paid subscriber at Substack, all of that goes to my ability to do this. There's no shell company out there. There's no, like, my ability to do this kind of stuff is directly correlated to you supporting me financially. So Anthony, thank you for doing it. Anthony says, got into a debate about whether we would elect a gay man or a woman first. I have always thought we would probably elect a Republican woman first. Your thoughts? Also, Susan Collins, is she running or not? I think we will elect a woman before a gay man. As to Susan Collins, I do think she is running again. I think it's going to be a hard race, unless, if Democrats don't get the governor, Janet Mills, to run, which I think is probably about a 50-50. If they don't get her to run, I think it's going to be a little harder, because there's not a great Democratic bench there. Basically, everyone in the Democratic Party is running for governor. Now, maybe somebody jumps over from the governor's race to the Senate race if Mills is out. But the dynamics of that state, which Kamala Harris won, mean it's going to be a close race. But I think Collins will run. Let's see. Chris from Munich. I hate Trump so much, it's enough for us both Chris's. Let's see. Daniel Kent. I just want to mention that donating to get your attention is the same thing as lobbying. It's Citizens United all over again. I got to make a living, Daniel. Atomic Penguin. Does Scott Brown have a strong chance in New Hampshire? No, he does not. I think Chris Pappas is probably going to win there. How do you think Georgia looks? Am I wrong to think that if Chris Sununu and Brian Kemp decided to run, Republicans could clean up in 2026? They'd certainly have better chances of winning in Georgia and New Hampshire if Chris Sununu and Brian Kemp would run, but they're not running. I think Georgia's a toss-up. I think New Hampshire's a lean Democrat. Let's see. I think that's it. All right, I'm going to go. Oh my gosh, we've gone almost an hour, 53 minutes. So thank you all for joining me. If all you can do is hit that subscribe button and the like button on this, that is enough. Thank you. If you want to try to join the Diamond Club, $6.99 a month, you get a bunch of access to me, and you get a bunch of video content. So check that out. Just hit join on my main YouTube page. You can also donate to me, Super Chat. You can donate to me on buymeacoffee.com. You can go over to Substack, check that out. There's free content there. There's also content you can pay for. I ask because it helps make me able to do this stuff. So if you want this sort of journalism, I hope that you understand you need to help fund it. Many of you already do. Thank you. If you can't now, maybe sometime down the line, tell people about it, be an evangelist. Any little bit helps. And thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care. I'll see you next Friday. All right, everyone.